Hello, okay. Waiting for folks to join. Hello, hello. Hey everyone, come on in. Gonna be answering questions about Airbnb, short-term rentals, courses, anything that you want to ask. If I am able to answer it, I will answer it today. So let me see who's here. Let me know where everyone is from, and let me know if you guys can hear me. So hey Cali Queen 2020, hey the Vons, Maggie Hale, hello, Forever Youngo, hey Liam, hey Bunts the Chameleon, hey, hey Namambi or Namambabe, hey yourself, 9 Mari. Yeah, so where's everyone from? Okay, New York, I'm seeing California. Hey, shout out to the West Coast. I'm in Vegas. Where's everyone else from? Is there a discount code for the clad? I think you mean course. The course is already discounted, 75% off right now, and I am going to be raising the price finally next month. So if you're interested in any of my programs, whether it's the ebook bundle, the courses, I have an Airbnb course and a travel nurse hosting course. I'm going to be raising the prices next month just because they've been the same price for a while, and I know that it's a lot of information that I give in them. So if you're interested in them, you can get those right now. They are 50 to 75% off. The ebook bundle, Airbnb ebook bundles, is 50% off, and the course is 75% off. The travel nurse hosting course, like if you're just interested in hosting travel nurses and you already have an Airbnb, or you just want to learn that piece of it, it's 50% off right now as well. So thank you guys for joining. I am just going to be answering your questions about Airbnb. If you don't know who I am, first of all, let me turn this music down. I always like to start with music, but then I can't think when it's on. So I was listening to WizKid's new album. I don't know if any of you guys are fans. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Nanaalicenyarko. I have hosted over 20 Airbnbs and short-term rentals since 2014. I was able to book over $250,000 in bookings in just 1 year. And now what I like to do is teach other people how to start an Airbnb with or without buying property first. So today I just wanted to hop on here and answer any questions that you guys might have about how to get started, how to do it without buying property, because I know for a lot of people that is kind of a hiccup, makes it a little harder for some people to get started. You know, anything that you have, I am ready to answer for you guys. So I'm not seeing anything in the chat right now, so you guys don't have any questions, because I'm here for it. Well, while you guys are thinking of it, what I'll do is kind of give you an overview of, you know, basically what I teach. So there are a lot of people out there who right now you're interested in getting started in Airbnb, but you kind of have these myths that I like to call, because they are myths in your head, like, you know, you need a ton of money to get started, or that you have to have already own a property, or you have to buy a property to get started. So those are really big myths, because when you think that way, you end up putting yourself on the sidelines, because there are literally thousands of people out here who are doing short-term rentals, and they're doing it without having to go out and buy a property. Because when you buy a property, especially if it's like a second home, maybe you already own the place that you live in, or maybe you're not ready to buy just yet. Excuse me. It's mad dry here in Nevada right now. You know, you end up having to put down a lot more money. And so whether that's 3.5% if you're using FHA, maybe you're getting a multi-unit and you're going to live in one unit and rent the others, which is an awesome way of doing this. Or maybe it's another property, so it's like 20% down. That's way more than you would need if you do the other methods that I teach, which is rental arbitrage or master leasing, where you lease a property specifically for Airbnb, and with the owner's permission, you go out and use it for short-term rentals in Airbnb. Or you can co-host, and co-hosting is when you host a property on Airbnb for the owner, and the way you get paid is by getting a percentage of every booking that comes through. So co-hosting is a really great way to either start with really little to no money up front out of pocket, or it's also a great way to scale. So if you're someone who wants to host 20 Airbnbs or host 100 Airbnbs, you can scale very quickly, whether you master lease or do rental arbitrage or you co-host. So that's the beauty of these methods, because they make it very easy to get started, and they make it very easy to scale if that's the business model that you want to follow. So I see I have a couple questions. So definitely, if you're just joining, share with me where you're from, and then I'm just really answering questions, so let me know what questions you have. So someone asked how much to invest without owning property. So it's going to depend on what method you decide to use. So if you are master leasing, it's going to be the cost of renting a property wherever you are located or wherever you decide to host. Because remember, you don't necessarily have to host in your particular city. I always recommend, if you're a new host, that is like a great way to get started, because you want to be kind of close to your Airbnb. But a lot of us live in cities that are not short-term rental friendly, right? They have some really strict regulations, so maybe you need to host remotely. So to your question, whatever it costs to rent in your local area, whether you decide to get a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, or studio, etc. So you're going to need, your first month rent, whatever the deposit that's required for that property, right? A lot of larger complexes, oftentimes the deposit is a lot less, but like if you're working with a private landlord, it's probably going to be the first month's rent. And then you have to make sure you have enough for furniture. So in the course, I have a breakdown of like your budget depending on what method you choose. And then I also show you how to get your furniture, whether you want to go less expensive or more expensive, depending on the type of guest you're trying to attract, the amount of profit you're trying to have, the location that you're in, all of that comes into play. If you're co-hosting, you really don't have a lot of expenses at all, because it's the owner's property. They're the ones responsible for furnishing it. So they're paying for furniture. They're doing all that. If you're like me, so I do interior design. I like and enjoy interior design. So when I was co-hosting for a lot of these owners, they'd be like, listen, I don't know. I have a property and I want money. I don't know how to do all this design. So I actually would set it up and design it for them. And that would be an additional revenue source for me. I would make money because that's a separate fee, right? But they are the ones paying for everything. They're paying for the furniture. And so your responsibility is to actually host the property for them. So the only cost you might have is, like in the course, I show you how to automate a lot of your guest messaging, how to automate a lot of your systems once you get that all down. And so those tools and softwares you may want to pay for. So that would be your out-of-pocket expense. So hopefully that answers your question. What's the scariest part of starting this? Honestly and truly, just getting started. I would say making sure that you do your due diligence and make sure that you do your research. Make sure that you know that the location that you get is going to be profitable. That you're gonna, if you're master leasing, it's profitable enough to cover your rent, your expenses, so that you can, cover that every single month, because you have to pay rent, and you're in it to make a profit. So I always say just make data-driven decisions, and you'll feel more comfortable. It'll be less scary. I show you in my programs like how to run the numbers to see, like, okay, this place that I'm looking at is, first of all, like, let me find where in my city can I do this, right? Does my city work? And then you want to find out, okay, my city works. What's the best area in my city? What's making the most profit? What area can I afford because I want a master lease? Or what area do I know people, or do I want to reach out to people to co-host? And then you want to narrow that down. Okay, these are the areas that are profitable. These are the areas that are going to work. I can get a 1-bedroom. How much is a 1-bedroom going to make in this area? Okay, I don't want to pay rent more than XYZ, right? So I think the scariest part is just committing and being willing to learn and do the research necessary to be successful. Because once you have all those factors, like once you know what your regulations are, you're not afraid because you know how to operate legally and successfully. Once you know what your rent is and how much you can make, and you use all the tips and things that I teach in my courses, then you have more confidence in knowing that, okay, as long as I do XYZ, I'm going to have the revenue coming in. I know how to pivot, right? I teach in the travel nurse hosting course how to host travel nurses. And I was fortunate that I was hosting travel nurses before the pandemic started, but that was so great because when the pandemic started, I had to shift a little bit with my units to make sure that I was able to still be profitable. So those are the things, like I just say having the right amount of information, but information without action is just good reading. So like starting is the key. So yes. All right, cool. Do you have issues with squatters? I have not. I've only had one guest who stayed, like checkout is at 11 at my units, and she stayed until like 2 o'clock. And I think I've had good luck because again, I teach you to be very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like over delivering information. So I'm telling people like the night before what time, I'm reminding people all the time of what time checkout is. Hey, I hope you enjoyed your stay, like the morning of, right? Let's say checkout's at 11. I'm sending them a message at like 9, like, I hope you really enjoyed your stay. Just a reminder, here are the things you need to do before you check out, and our cleaning staff will be there at 11 o'clock. So like just kind of constantly driving home that somebody's going to be there. You need to leave. I haven't had any issues with squatters, but there are things you can do to circumvent that, make sure that you don't have that issue. It's also quality control in terms of the guests that you attract. That will help as well. All right. How to convince landlord that you can make payments when you are a new business with no rental income. So I show you how to do that for sure in the course. But one way is really just like showing your income, right? Having proof of income that you can afford it. And then also like doing that due diligence to say, hey, this is how much, because you're being honest, you're sharing with them that you're going to be doing short-term rentals and Airbnb. So you can go to them with the data and saying, hey, this is how much I believe I can make. This is my income. Like you just have to have all of the proof necessary for that owner. And you may have to kiss a lot of frogs. Like that's the one thing. Sometimes people want to talk to like 2 owners or 2 landlords and they're like, this doesn't work. I'm like, no, you just have to reach out to more places and more people, because remember, doing short-term rentals is not the method that most landlords are thinking of when they become landlords. They're looking, in their mind, they're thinking of having traditional tenants who are going to just do the regular thing, pay them every month. So you're kind of making them think outside the box. So you really want to make sure you have as much proof as possible for them so they feel comfortable. And again, I show you in the course like how to have a packet of information that's going to give them, again, more confidence, knowing that you know what you're talking about and know what you're doing. Okay, I'm in LA. Ooh. How do I come to Vegas and scout for Airbnb? Is the market better there? I heard properties sell out fast there with a waiting list. So if you're talking about buying, the market here buying wise is very competitive right now. There's still deals to get, but it is competitive because a lot of people from California are moving here. But I'll say that Vegas has really strict short-term rental regulations. A lot of Airbnbs are here. That is what it is, but the city has really, like, it's not allowed. So just keep that in mind. There are cities that surround Vegas that are more short-term rental friendly. But if you want to come here and just kind of like maybe have a real estate agent who's local, kind of start sending you things so you can take a look in like one weekend and make your decisions that way. But instead of buying, you can always master lease or rental arbitrage or co-host, and that way you're not fighting with everyone out here who's trying to buy. But there are still deals to be had. It's, again, doing your due diligence and making sure you're buying in an area that's going to make sense and the numbers work. All right, let's see. I'm in New Jersey. What's your pitch to landlords when going the arbitrage route? I think is what you meant. Regardless of what state I am, it is the same. But my pitch and all that, the scripts and everything, the templates, that's all in my Airbnb course. Hey, Stack Nation. Hello everyone who's just joining. So yes, I'm just answering your questions. So drop them in the chat and let me know where you guys are from. What is the biggest issue you encounter doing this? The learning curve when I first started, because I started in 2014 when no one was really teaching this. There weren't a lot of programs and courses out there, so I was really like flying by the seat of my pants and learning as I went. I would say the biggest issue is you definitely have to be organized. So that's why in my programs, in the Airbnb course, the BNB from scratch method, I include templates for like guest messages so that you're not like repeating yourself all the time. Well, you are repeating yourself, but you want to have templates so that you don't have to like rethink of everything. You just really have to be organized. So I include templates for guest messages. I include templates for a guest guidebook, because you want to anticipate and answer questions before they even come to you. And so the more hospitality you provide up front, the better it is for your guests, the better experience they're going to have, the more 5-star reviews. I would say the biggest issue is when I really scaled, making sure that I was organized, because when you scale, you have to have, like, it can't just be you running 20 Airbnbs. It's just not possible. So you have to make sure you have a good quality team. I would say making sure you have good quality cleaners, especially now. That has been, it took a while to find really quality cleaners in the beginning. It's a lot easier, I'd say, now, just because the industry is bigger. So you have people who kind of cater to Airbnb hosts. But even then, you really have to do your, I say due diligence a lot, but you have to do your homework on these cleaners and make sure you're training them really well. I think those are some of the biggest issues doing this. And then just dealing with guests, making sure that you have a hospitality, like either you're a hospitality person or you get coaching from someone who knows good hospitality, or you add someone to your team who knows really good hospitality, because the way you talk to people is going to make a huge difference, even when they're in the wrong. I'm not saying the customer is always right, because I'm not about that life, but even the way you communicate when someone is wrong is going to make a huge difference in your ratings, and that is going to impact your business overall with Airbnb and short-term rentals. How quick is your turnover? Do you have people lined up to stay at your spots? So turnover is pretty quick. Our checkouts are at 11, and check-ins are either 3 or 4 p.m. So our cleaners have that window of time, and I always clean when someone checks out, because we do get same-day bookings, especially right now, like because of everything, the pandemic, all this, we're in a panorama. I love that word. But people do last-minute travel, right? They don't know, like, when it's going to be safe. So they wait till the last minute to book. So you get a lot of same day bookings. So you want to make sure that your place is good to go. And even if you don't get a same day, you might get a next day. You don't know if your cleaners are booked elsewhere. So you just want to make sure that your turnovers are done pretty quickly. All right. Okay, that sounds better. Master lease. Cool. New Jersey. Yes. What's the minimum I can have to purchase a property and get it? That is okay. So your question is, what is the minimum I can have to purchase a property and get in a good area? I honestly cannot answer that question because that's so broad. Depending on where you live, like if you're in parts of middle America, properties are really inexpensive. Or even if you're in a hot city, but you go maybe 30, 50 miles away from the city, it's less expensive. That's a really hard question for me to answer. I would say, reach out to your local real estate agents to see like, hey, what are areas that are not as expensive? Or if you have a budget in mind, see what parts of the country, I'm assuming you're in the US, see what parts of the country meet your budget, because you don't have to host in your particular city. But that is a very hard question to answer because I just moved from the DC area last year, and like let's say like $400,000 there is going to get you something a lot smaller than $400,000 in Las Vegas. Even though in Las Vegas, it's such a hot market, because $400,000 5-10 years ago would have gotten you like a palace versus what it can get you now. So that's a really tricky question. It's going to depend on the market. Hey, Terp Nation in the house. Thank you. What are 3 top qualities one should have if considering this venture? Is it for everyone who wants a side hustle? See, the Terps be coming through with the questions. The edumacation is so good. So for those of you who don't know, Terps means you went to University of Maryland, College Park. And this is a good friend of mine. So her question is, what are 3 top qualities one should have if considering this venture? Is it for everybody who wants a side hustle? So I think that one, I mentioned earlier, you have to be willing to become hospitality focused. A lot of people forget that this is a hospitality business. So if you have a short temper, you're not willing to adjust, you're not willing to admit your mistakes when you made a mistake, like your cleaners weren't on time and things happen, you have to be willing to make those changes. And even and cater to guests. They're paying you for a service, right? It's like if you showed up at a hotel and they had attitude, you would not be cool with that. So that is a huge thing that I would say people would need to have. I mentioned before, really being organized. So and then if you're not a hospitality person, having someone on your team, whether it's your partner, business partner, friend, whoever you may want to go into this with, if they're hospitality focused, then that's cool too. Being organized. So being organized with your systems and how you plan to communicate with guests, how you plan to check guests in and out of the property. All of that is very important. So not to say you have to be organized to the point where you know how to do everything from the jump. That's the purpose of things like my course. But you have to be willing to document what you're doing, because I show you how to do that, but your property is your specific property. So you need to know like how to quickly communicate what the Wi-Fi is to guests, right? How to communicate where to park. Like all of that stuff is going to come down to your specific property. So you really need to be organized. And then I think you need to be, I wouldn't say you have to be this from the start, but you need to become financially savvy, because you're going to be making some good money. You need to be aware of making sure that you pay the expenses on this property, you save for, put some money aside if you want to get another property, put some money aside for slower seasons. Like you can't just be willy-nilly with your money with any business, but definitely with this business. So I think those are 3 important things. That was a really, really good question. All right. Cool. What do you find are the key things a guests are looking for? Honesty in your listing. Like, so there are so many different types of travelers, right? There's the budget traveler. One of my mentors, I used to love when he would say this. There's like the budget traveler, the middle traveler, and the high-end traveler. So he would call it like the Walmart traveler, the Target traveler, and the Nordstrom traveler. Nothing wrong with either one. All 3 will make you money, but you need to be honest about your listing. So if your listing is truly a budget or Walmart listing, don't have photos that make it seem like it's more of a Nordstrom listing, right? Be honest about the property that you have, because if you describe that, hey, this is a budget-friendly, awesome, property, inexpensive, in the heart of the city, gonna be easy for you to get to everything, the person who's looking for that will book it and be happy with it. But if you're like, this is the best thing since sliced bread, and it's like, I don't know, really great, and it's not, then you're gonna have problems. So honesty with listings. High-speed internet is like not even like a game anymore. You have to have really good quality internet. You could have the most luxurious place, but if the internet doesn't work, it's going to be a problem. And then very, very clean. Really guests are looking for properties that are clean. Whether you're budget or really high-end luxury, like nobody wants to be paying for somewhere that's dingy and not good. Guests also really like location. Like if they're looking for a specific location and yours can cater to that, you want to highlight that in your listing. And don't think like, oh, I have to be in a main city or in the downtown area. Some people are looking to be in the wilderness. Some people are looking to be near a random university that their cousin goes to and they're in town to visit. Some people are looking to be in the business district because they're working remotely, but they want to pop into the office every now and then. So it just varies. But yeah, I would say the biggest thing is tell hard truths if your property has any hard truths, and be honest about what you're offering. Okay. Oh, that's really good. I wouldn't have thought. Yes, hospitality. Yeah, I know it's a hospitality business, but people don't think about it because it's a moneymaker too. So that's what everyone wants to get into it. Okay, how can I find where the perfect locations are? So I definitely teach this in the course. I actually have like a full section on how to find the best location for you and how to find the most profitable locations. But I'll give you 2 sites that I dive deep on in the program. One is AIRBNB and one is Mashvisor, and both of them do a very good job. Oh, and the third is Airbnb itself. But AIRBNB and Mashvisor do a good job of collecting the data on short-term rentals. So not just Airbnb, but they collect the data on platforms like vrbo, which is vacation rental by owner, even some booking.com, and they're just kind of showing you the hot spots of what areas really profitable, which ones are not, the occupancy rates. They do a good job of like putting all that data together. So it's on you then to like go in and really do your research. So that's why I spend probably like over an hour showing you like how to actually use those tools to your benefit so that you can drive down what specific area you want to deal with or work in before you even get started, before you even start like looking and all that good stuff. So that should be really helpful. All right. Somebody said they sent me a text, but I never responded. I do have quite a lot of people on my text list, but send me another one. One thing I'll say is sometimes people, I tell everyone to text me the word Airbnb, and then I'm able to send you my free Airbnb class and all that good stuff. But when you text the word, you have to text just Airbnb. Sometimes people send like full-on sentences and lots of questions, and so that takes me a little longer to get back to you. But right now I have over 600 people in my group that I, text, and I do my best to text as many people as possible back. But it is just me texting y'all back right now. So first of all, Anne, thank you so much for the badge love. So yes, if you guys find this information helpful, feel free to buy a badge. Just like a little tip, for this free game I'm giving you guys. You can do that. But thank you so much, Annie1. I really, really appreciate it. And this is pretty fun. So yes, I'm here for your questions. So let me know what questions you guys have. Otherwise, I'm a dip because I'm hungry and I haven't eaten yet today. But yes, I'm looking for any other questions that people might have. Okay, someone just dropped one. Give me 1 second. Drink some water. I always think it's so weird when you're watching someone's live and they have to like drink or whatever, but it's life. I can't die over here. So I'm 21 and a college student, and I have a part-time job that I've been with a year and a half. It would be hard for me to find and qualify for a good apartment in California. That is possibly true. I wouldn't say it's out of the question because you're of the age that you can rent an apartment as an adult, but I don't know what the requirements might be in your area. So what I would say is you don't have to. Everyone wants to master lease, and I get it, but you can co-host, and co-hosting is a great way to get started because you don't have to show the things that an apartment or a landlord is going to require. There's no necessary proof of income. In the program, I show you how to talk to owners about letting them co-host or letting you co-host their property for them on Airbnb. But there's no proof of income required and all this stuff. They may want to see something like that, but you do have a job. It's more so showing that you know what you're going to be doing for them as a co-host on Airbnb. So co-hosting is a very good way to get started. I don't know why some people always want to go the master lease route, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to go that way. There are pros and cons to each. With master leasing, the pros are it's basically you're working for yourself. Aside from paying the landlord every month, there's no one you really, and staying within whatever their requirements are, there's no one that you have to talk to about decisions. With co-hosts, yes, it's someone else's property, so you have to make sure that whatever you decide to do as a host works for them. But it's a really, really good way to get started. It's a great way to make money. As a co-host, you can make really whatever you and the owner decide your booking fee or your co-hosting fee is going to be, but it generally ranges anywhere between 15 to 20%. I've done as high as 30% on some of the luxury properties that I've hosted. And like I said, you don't have as many expenses out of pocket, if any, when you get started. So it's a wonderful way to start stacking your paper, start making money, putting money to the side. If you really decide you don't want to deal with other owners, you want to do your own thing, and you decide, hey, I really want to move towards the master leasing route or rental arbitrage or even buying eventually, co-hosting is still a great way to get started because then you can put that money aside. You already have another job, so you can just put this income aside towards saving for maybe doing master leasing or purchasing or something like that in the future. But I know big time hosts who their entire business model is co-hosting, and they co-host over 100 plus properties, and that's all they do. I know some that started with master leasing, and they actually decided, they didn't want to have to be responsible for all these rents every month, so they switched to co-hosting, and they love it. I've always done a mix of both, just because that's just how it kind of happened for me. A lot of my co-hosting ended up being word of mouth and referrals, just because I was kind of doing this. But it's a great way to get started, so that would be my recommendation for you for sure. All right. Any other questions, guys? If not, I'm gonna hop off, but I'm happy to keep going. If if you guys have any other questions. That guy who just joined, hey, holla, all my classmates are up in here. We went to law school together. Yes, for some of you, you don't know that I am also an attorney, but I do not practice. Well, I should stop saying that. I still do a little bit of stuff on the side, but it's not my main thing. Really, teaching Airbnb is my main thing. And then the next thing I'll be doing is teaching folks how to start their own courses. So if you have a passion or something like that, I want to help people turn that into a digital product, into an ebook or a digital course that you can start making money from, because that has been a game changer for me when it comes to passive income. So that's a little tangent right there. Someone said, Net for Best said, building credit. Can you expand a little bit on your question? What do you mean? Like, do I teach how to build credit? Kind of. So in the course, I teach you how to set up your LLC and how to get business credit. If that's something that you want to do, it's not really personal credit focused, but for those of you who want to turn this into like more of a business and you want to start using business credit, I show you how to get started with that in the course. So hopefully that answers your question, but it's definitely not like a personal credit kind of program. I don't teach that. Cool. Live from Uganda. Hey, my African brother, East African, been enjoying your videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yes. And a lot of people ask me, I have an Airbnb in Ghana, West Africa with my parents. So this can be done in Africa, internationally. You just got to learn your local area's rules and regulations and make it happen. Someone said, do you offer one-on-one mentoring? I really don't right now. I go live, and I'm doing that a little more often within the course itself. So private Q&A, where I really answer a lot more detailed questions. Like, people will ask me things that I, kind of point you towards the course. But during those live Q&As, I can answer a lot more. Just in terms of time, I'm not able to dedicate to one-on-one mentoring right now. Business credit, what's the best way to build once you have an LLC? Quick, short answer is, getting your LLC, getting your EIN number, getting your, what's next? Once you get your EIN, getting your business bank account, and then applying for your DUNS number, your Dun & Bradstreet number, which is going to allow you to start getting business accounts, credit accounts. Yes, but I go into a little more detail in the course. Cool. All right. Any other questions? I'm hungry, guys. What's everyone eating for lunch? I need some ideas. I'm thinking, I have food in this house that I cooked, but I'm not interested in it. So I'm thinking I might do pizza. We shall see. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions. If you have any, just drop them in the chat. So what do I want to say? Yes, my ebooks are 50% off. I have an ebook bundle, which is a combination of my Airbnb ebook and my travel nurse hosting ebook. And then I have like a couple of live interviews that I've included in the package, and my email script to landlords. Do I know how to bake pizza? Not like from scratch, no. I should get some from the grocery store maybe, so I can like throw that. I usually like to do that, like have something basic for times when I don't want to cook in the freezer. But I didn't get pizza because I didn't want to have like just pizza hanging out in my house that I could eat any time of the day. That's not a good idea for me. So yes, my ebook bundle is 50% off right now. And it includes, what did I say? The Airbnb ebook, the travel nurse hosting ebook, a couple of interviews, and then my email script to landlords. My Airbnb course, which is called the BNB from Scratch program, is 75% off right now. You can actually start for $0 up front, and you get full access to the entire program if you purchase with PayPal Pay Later. if you decide to do that, please make sure you select PayPal Pay Later. And I make it very clear, like you can click the link in my bio to get any of my programs. I make it very clear because if you select regular PayPal, they will charge whatever bank account you have attached to it. But if you select PayPal Pay Later, it gives you 0 payments and 0 interest for 6 months, and you get full access to the entire program. So you have that whole time to learn everything, set it up, and then you pay PayPal whenever you're ready. But please make sure you select the right option if that's what you want to do, because if you select regular PayPal, they will charge you, and I'm not gonna be able to help you. So and that's 75% off, or you can start for $0. And then I have the Travel Nurse Hosting course, and I made that a separate course. People have asked me this before, why don't I just include it in the Airbnb course? And that's because my Airbnb course is very extensive. I spend a lot of time. I teach you like whether you are more advanced or starting from scratch, essentially. So I teach you the basics all the way up to automation and being able to work this business completely hands-free. So I didn't want to like add this entire other program into the course because it would be too overwhelming. So, and not everyone wants to host travel nurses. So I have a fully separate course on how to find, book, and successfully host travel nurses, like how to attract them, where to find them, once you book them, how to set up things so that it runs smoothly. And I love travel nurses because a lot of times they will, if they like their assignment with the hospital, they will continue to rebook with you if they like your property. So that is also 50% off. All of these are available with the link in my bio, and you can get started. Okay, I see another. Are the scripts for landlords for private landlords or complexes? So in the course, I have scripts for both. I have scripts they work for both private landlords as well as apartment complexes. And I give you more formal stuff that you can, or documentation that you can use for especially apartment complexes, because they are usually going to require a little bit more. But I love working with both private landlords as well as larger complexes. I started with private landlords. They were just more flexible. It was a lot easier. I literally, like my first private landlord that I worked with that I didn't know, I had a girlfriend who I co-hosted for her because she owned a 4-unit building and couldn't rent one of them out. But the first one who like I went from, scratch, he was like, okay, girl, you got your check? And I'm like, I do. And we just went from there, like after I, did my pitch. So I love private landlords. And then we had such a good business relationship. He gave me additional units when they were available because he owned a couple of smaller apartment buildings throughout the city. So I'm a big fan of them. But the scripts, yes, I have both in the program. Okay. Any last questions? I will give you about 30 seconds. All right. I don't see any other questions unless someone is feverishly typing right now. But thank you guys so much for joining me. And I'm going to do a more formal live class in the next week or two, I think. But I will share that on my Instagram page somehow, some way. So, and I'll also text people in my text group. So, if you wanted to get text messages from me, just go to my bio, and my phone number is there, and you can just text the word Airbnb and you'll get all my information. And then whenever I send out deals information, I let my text people know that I was going live. All that good stuff. You can do that by texting the number in my bio. Okay, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.